I wasn't going to talk about Milo Winter again. I did say that. I said that, but I also said if something new comes up that's actually worth talking about, then yeah, I'll go back. And here we are. Because I was doom scrolling Tumblr at like 2 a.m. when your life, what you do when your life is going great and you feel completely emotionally stable. I saw a comment, and when you read something that it just kicks your brain and it kind of locks in? It was one of those comments. It mentioned consumer protection laws, and I went, okay, hang on. So I did what I always do. I ended up down a rabbit hole. Started reading the FTC guidelines, consumer rights, shipping laws, and I'm not sitting here pretending I'm a lawyer. I'm not an expert. I've just someone who read enough to go, oh, because this isn't just messy anymore. It's, well, oh, it's not just this launch didn't go well, is it? Or communication could have been better. There's actual rules for this stuff, like real ones that are not optional. So yeah, I'm Dove James. This is not scripted. I have notes in front of me. I'm sorry if it's a bit floopy. A like, sub, hit that bell icon, Patreon and all of that jazz is available. Channel memberships if you want some extras. But I think we need to talk about this. And I hope this video gets to the right people. That's all I'm going to say. So here's a short version, because the long version is pages, and I don't think anyone would tolerate me for 5 hours. Lots of legal language will make your eyes bleed as well. So I'm going to say it really bluntly. If you sell something, you have 30 days to ship it unless you clearly state otherwise before the purchase. That's the baseline. Now, if there's a delay, you have to contact every single customer. Not a tweet, not a post on Instagram, not a information and updates behind a paywall on Patreon and hope people see it. You actually have to contact them. Official documents, email, phone, fax. I didn't know fax was still a thing, but it's listed legally. Whatever. You need their consent to wait longer. And here's the part that stuck out to me. You also have to tell them they have the right to cancel. That's not optional. That's not, you don't forget that part. That is actually baked into law. And it gets stricter the longer this goes on. Okay? So bear with me. You've got one delay where if the customer doesn't respond, you can assume they're okay with it. 1. After that, any additional delay means you have to go back, contact them again, get consent again. Consent is a very important word in this discussion. If they do not respond, you refund them automatically. No queue, no we'll get to it at some point, no fill out this form and wait. You have to automatically refund the consumer. And this is where things started getting really bad, because also you cannot substitute the product. For the people that receive bookmarks, this is quite important, and other things, but we'll get to that. You can't go, well, the thing you ordered isn't happening, but here's something else, even if it's similar, even if it's the same story, even if you think it's better. If it's materially different from what the customer paid for, you need their express consent. Otherwise, you refund them. Full stop. No questions asked. And when I started going down this rabbit hole at 2 o'clock in the morning that ended up lasting for a week, the delays, the lack of direct communication, people finding updates through social media instead of being contacted, people asking for refunds and blatantly being ignored, and the change from physical book to you can have an ebook, but you need to pay more for it. Charging extra for something people have already paid for is also a thing. Rewriting the book entirely and call it a new edition. That's not just messy. This is not drama anymore. This is where it crosses into territory that can get people in prison. because legally you can't charge someone money for a product they already bought. You cannot give them a digital version when they paid for a physical one unless they directly agree with it. You can't just decide to make a second edition and go, this counts. You cannot replace what people have bought with a new edition of the book without express consent. That is the operative word. Whether the book was good or bad, you still have to have the consumer's consent. And this is the biggest one. And this one kind of shocked me. Okay. Refunds. If someone is owed a refund, you don't get to delay it because your finances are complicated. You don't get to put them in a queue. You don't get to ignore emails and hope it goes away. The money is not yours until the customer receives the product. It belongs to the customer and they're entitled to get it back. And I've seen the comments, people asking for refunds publicly, repeatedly, and being ignored. And I think that's the part where it just kind of... the best way to put it is, how did we get this far? Like, genuinely, how did it get to a point where basic consumer rights are just not being followed? I think that's what's fascinated me the most in this whole situation, the repeating pattern of behaviour over a decade. And now this. Again, a repeating pattern of behaviour, but a lot more money involved. Not just an anonymous furry art place selling commissions. I think what frustrates... this is what gets also frustrating, is that people keep losing this in the conversation. I've mentioned this countless times and people ignore me. Because people focus on the personality or the drama or he said, she said, all of this stuff, or who's talking about who, what, this booktuber, she talked about this. No, it's not like that. Strip it all away. This is about people who paid for something and didn't get what they were promised. That's it. That's the core of it. And look, again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just someone who stayed up way too late for a few days reading legal guidelines because a Tumblr comment sent me into a spiral. But from everything I've read and from what other people are now saying, this is not a grey area. This is clearly defined, and the consequences for ignoring it are not small. There are fines, big fines, legal action, potentially worse depending on how far it goes. So yeah, at this point, I'm in my very non-legal, very tired opinion way, Milo probably needs to lawyer up. And more importantly, there probably needs to be consequences for this. Because this isn't just one messy book launch anymore. This is about how people handled other people's money. And if you're watching this, and you're one of the people affected, you have options. You can complain to the FTC. You can also contact your payment provider. Check the terms and conditions, obviously, but in a lot of cases they will step in. Because again, you paid for something and you didn't receive the product that you paid for or agreed to. That matters. I didn't want to make this video. I was quite happy being done with it. But I don't think this is real internet nonsense anymore. This is real world stuff, and it affects real people. So yeah, here we go again. So, I'm going to leave this here, and I will say, please contact your payment providers. Please get in touch with your people that issue your debit cards, your credit cards if you paid that way, whatever. Because you have a right to your money back. And Milo's personal financial situation has nothing to do with your rights as a consumer. I'm just going to put that out there. So, hopefully this will be the last video. Who knows at this point? Because this could go on for years. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys soon.